Welcome to the Live It Right podcast, hosted by John and Caitlin Lindsay. We're going to be talking all things health and wellness, from food, fitness, relationships. So if you want to live your best life and live it right, join us for this conversation.
So whether you're a health enthusiast, a busy professional, or someone looking to achieve a more fulfilling life, you're in the right place. Tune in, subscribe, and join our community as we explore the path to living it right.
Let's go. Welcome back to the Live It Right podcast. This is episode 11. We're back home, unfortunately, but we're recapping our Lake Garda experience. It was wonderful, and we wanted to record these on the go, but honestly, to be totally honest, we were having so much fun, doing so much stuff. We really didn't want to take the time to do it.
When we would try and do it the day we would be transferring to a new place, and after the Zurich one, we did it in Innsbruck, and both of us were like, that was way too rushed. We can't do this again.
So we saved it. We're back home, but we both made a lot of notes, and we had a wonderful time. So this episode will be a standalone for our Lake Garda experience, and then we'll do another one for Lake Aseo, where we went afterwards. So why don't you just kind of lead us into it? What did you think about Lake Garda, the town of Garda, where we stayed?
Yeah, so I loved Lake Garda. It's kind of hard. I kind of wish we had done this before we went to Aseo, because to really kind of like hone in on like real time of being there. But I loved Lake Garda. One of the biggest questions I got is, well, y'all have been to Como. What's the difference? I think one of the number one things we did, which made the experience in both places really nice, was that we chose to not stay in a main town. And while Garda was still one of the bigger towns, it was not the main town. Mm-hmm. And I think that really does, because when people think of Lake Como, it's not what we experience because we chose the smaller town. And I guess, that's what I'm getting at first is that was one thing I'm so glad we did.
Yeah, on Como, I think most people that see photos, videos of it, you see a lot of
Bellagio.
Which is beautiful and spectacular. But if it's busy, we've been there,
it felt like Disney World.
Yeah, you're waiting in line for everything. Yeah. Like you're walking through the streets and you have to like kind of push and shove your way through it. One thing that did help us out, Garda, the town of Garda where we stayed, is a bigger town. We are also lucky to be there after European summer holidays.
Correct.
So that helped a ton because we were there on a Saturday, and that Saturday was busy. Nothing like Bellagio, but it was still...
We were there during the week. I forgot that was the majority of it.
Friday afternoon.
Yeah, but
so the first day, Saturday, was a little busy, but again, nothing like these super busy places in Italy. So it was totally fine.
I loved Garda. I loved one of my favorite things about Lake Garda as a whole. I guess anywhere that we went is you go from a town, which can be busy, can be a little bit more low key. But when you get on the bike, which I know not everyone does, but when you get on a bike or you walk or you get in a car and you go just up the hill a hair, wine country.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like a different world in a way, but you were like a mile and a half up the hill.
Yeah, the views were, you get away, you think of the lake as this spectacular view, but you kind of go over the hill where you can't even see the lake anymore, and it's just spectacular vineyards. It almost reminds me of what I picture Tuscany to be like.
Yeah,
it's a little more mountainous, but it's still kind of rolling hills in the valley, vineyards everywhere.
I could have cried the first time we rode through it. It truly, we talked about this so many times. It's hard to try and articulate how beautiful these places were.
Totally. And honestly, so Garda, not that busy. You get a little outside off the lake.
Dead.
Yes. Nothing going on.
Like in the best way possible.
In the best way possible, for sure. Like it was, we were there for 6 nights.
Yeah.
We did 3 really good bike rides.
One, we'll get to it. The hardest ride I've ever done.
The first one we did was on the Saturday, our first day there. We spent the night and then got up. and we did a really nice cruise through
It was
the
through vineyards.
vineyard. Yeah, it was from the bike rental place we rented from was in the town of Garda, super convenient to our spot. And that they labeled that route as the vineyard cruise. And it was like, in America, this wouldn't be possible because some of the roads we rode on, you would think it was private land. Like, that's how...
We thought we were
That's
trespassing.
how in the vineyard you
Yeah.
are. Like, it's just bisecting through everything. Like, it was really, really cool. And it's minimal traffic. There's way more bikers there than there are cars. Just really, really nice. Next ride, I think the very next day, we looped the entire lake.
Which I'll tell you, let me ask you this. So Como was 100, 101, something like that?
Yeah, right at 100.
This was sub 40.
No, this was 90.
I mean, I'm sorry. That was Aseo. But it felt... Maybe it's because when I did Como, I had been on a bike like twice. But it did not... It felt bigger to me. Garda felt bigger to me. And maybe it was because, like what you said, where you can't really see the other side very well.
Yeah, Garda is... I guess Como has more shoreline, making it, if you're biking it, longer. But Garda is just by volume, a bigger lake.
Yeah.
And so, there is sections in the south where on a clear day, you can see across. But if it's not a clear day, you can't see across. Like, that's how vast it is. So biking around it it was a tough ride. Lots of tunnels on the west side.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen, what James Bond was that? One of the recent James Bond movies, there's a car chase scene that goes through these tunnels. And so...
We rode that.
Yeah, they were
not as fast.
They were really, really cool. And there's the coolest thing about... We saw this a bit in Innsbruck, but definitely more so in Europe is, we're riding these pretty challenging routes. And a lot of times you see people on e-bikes just crushing the same thing.
Yeah.
So, I don't think we would ever do that. But if you're biking, getting on a bike, maybe even a moped, getting on your feet, like seeing Italy and like Garda and anywhere, kind of under your own control, like on a bike or something, is just so freaking cool.
Well, that was going to be one of my main points. I was going to say that, like, I understand not everyone's going to get on a road bike, and that is our way of seeing it. But even if you got in a car, drive the perimeter of these places, you'll see. I mean, it's incredible to just see it from every angle. Some of the towns are not fun, like they're not intriguing, they're not exciting. But then you'll pass through this tiny town that you can tell that there's like no one stays there but people that have lived there their whole lives, and like you'll see the little grandmother walking down the street with her bag of bread. It's the most incredible way of seeing it. And yes, if you don't want to get on a road bike, get on an e-bike. Do half the work.
Yeah. So speaking of biking, we rode the perimeter.
Yeah.
Epic. Awesome. The third bike ride, which, we took a little rest day, did a little another vineyard cruise, actually. Sampled some local wine, which was awesome. But our third harder bike ride was we went away from the lake, and we had two just absolutely epic climbs, like really, really cool. And you talk about feeling like a total cultural experience. Like you were we had to stop for water, and we grabbed a coffee in a coffee shop. People are looking at us, not unfriendly by any means, just like, what are you all doing here?
Yeah.
And we're only probably 25, 30 miles from the lake, but it's so
there was no one but
there's nothing touristy
there
about what we were doing. So it's just such a nice peek inside what daily life in Italy is. And so that was after one climb. Then we did the next climb, and that was just awesome. I was at a loss for words there. I was trying to think of the right word for it, but it was crazy hard.
Yeah.
Steep, old school roads going through vineyards. We're both huffing and puffing.
Yeah.
I think it kicked at the end, which just means like the whole climb was probably 4.5 or 5 miles, but the last mile was the steepest portion of it. So when your legs are super fatigued, more grade kicks in. I think the last mile was over 600 feet of climbing. Mm-hmm. And if you're familiar with biking at all, anything over 300 feet in a mile is pretty steep. So this was...
Let's just say, I told him after this one, I was having trouble with my Garmin because we hadn't, had we? I don't know if we'd updated it up to that point.
We were having trouble with just
The maps.
European maps, yeah.
Mine froze. It was tracking my metrics and my data, but like thankfully.
So a Garmin will tell you
the
if you're starting
grade.
a climb. It'll tell you what you've done, how much further you have left in that climb.
I had no idea how much further we had. I was like, you know what, Caitlin, you're just going to push until you can't push anymore. That was the most challenging yet most rewarding thing I think I've done in years.
Yeah.
Like the Innsbruck ride was hard as all get out, but that was on a different level. I think it was because it was on rough roads. Like he was talking about, you think you're almost like trespassing on private property. It's not paved well. They're narrow. A car could be coming by at any point in time the opposite direction, but it was just rural, I guess is the best word. But two things about that. First one is after that espresso stop, we started that climb. And one of the coolest things I will never forget, I wish I could have videoed it. We saw them literally handpicking the grapes. And it was just...
Cool. And it was from a small vineyard. Like it wasn't this big thing.
Yeah.
The previous day we had gone to a small vineyard, and the gal who kind of gave us a mini tour had mentioned how you'd probably know more than I would, how they're like for certain types of wine you do have to be very selective on, I think, even time of day you're picking the grapes. So you could, I mean, we went past these people fairly quickly, but you could tell they were doing that. They were in the selection process of something. So
and we'll get more
cool
into
to see firsthand.
Yeah, we'll get more into the food in a second, but. And that second climb, which was just brutal, just led to, I cannot remember, I don't know if you wrote it down. It was the sanctuary built into the side of a cliff, which was pretty.
Madonna in the name.
It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, epic. And we had to hike a bike down there because they didn't allow bikes on the trail.
Yeah,
so
noted.
We had to hike down about a half mile carrying our bike.
With no shoes on?
Up. Yeah, with no shoes.
Yeah.
I mean, totally worth it though.
Totally worth it.
Nice experience.
Yeah.
Had a pizza at the top afterwards, and then after that route was mostly downhill. There was an epic bike path though. We got on for probably a good 10 miles after that.
Oh, it was next to that water.
Yeah, there's a...
What was the story behind that?
It was an old aqueduct that was supplying water to kind of the surrounding cities. I forgot the exact history, but it was, they had a nice bike path through the woods, sort of, through some more vineyards, and then right by that water, which was really cool.
So, I mean, literally everywhere you looked, it was a view of some sort. That was an incredible ride, too. But, yeah, I mean... We recommend if you don't want to bike it, get an e-bike. I mean, it's a way that you'll see. I almost want to go back to Portugal to see Portugal from a different lens because we weren't biking at that point in time. It's just a truly epic and incredible way of seeing a place.
It's going to take you to places. It's going to take you places you probably wouldn't drive to. You're not going to.
Yeah.
You're not going to find these spots. Yeah, you're going to do a bike loop, and you're going to kind of know some stuff you're going to see. But then you're going to go through these little towns that just have so much uniqueness to them that.
And I totally respect the Italians, but I'd rather be on a bike than in a car.
Yeah.
They drive. Those Italians, they drive like cray-cray. I mean, it's like I'm like holding on for dear life.
Oh, when you're in the car.
Yeah,
but they know what they're doing.
They do know what they're doing way more than I do. But the rides were incredible. We we hiked. It was a very, very steep, but like 1 mile hike up to see Garda.
Yeah, it was right from
That was
the town
beautiful.
of Garda right to just a sort of kind of peak plateau thing that looks out over the lake, like right on the edge of the lake. I think it was 1,000, maybe not 1,000, maybe like 600 or 700 feet of climbing in 1 mile. So it was basically all stairs. Yeah, but super epic view.
I think the crazy thing to me is now that like we bike, I feel like it's not like I'm like dying to go right back to where we went, but there are like such high volume of trails.
Yeah.
And routes that you can take to see places, again, that you'd probably never get in the car to go see.
Yeah. Como is just like this too. I'm sure every Italian lake is. Like,
Yeah.
you could go there, just stay in the town you're staying in for probably a month. Mm-hmm. And if you're into biking, hiking, whatever it is, you probably wouldn't exhaust all the options available as far as bike routes, hiking routes. It's just so like flush with those sort of modalities, hiking, biking. Like, it's incredible. Like, all the rides we did, we left right from our Airbnb doorstep. And I mean, we did the lake, navigated the loop, but all the stuff other than that, we just went straight, away from the lake, so straight east. Yeah,
it was east.
And I mean, man, you could spend a lifetime biking those roads.
Yeah. I mean, it blows my mind how much was there. But let's talk about this Airbnb for a second.
Airbnb was epic. Not so much you. I'm very frugal when we travel, so I can't remember how much this Airbnb was, but it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't.
It's very affordable.
Yeah, we were very mindful about spending our money, but it had a killer rooftop deck, perfect location, a little uphill from the lake. But honestly, I kind of like that because you get a little bit. You at least get a couple steps in after dinner, which is nice.
You burn off the gelato.
Yeah. Epic rooftop pull-up bar up there, which is really nice. Plenty of space to move around. We did a few bodyweight workouts, stretching, mobility stuff. You did some Pilates.
But like, if we had been there for like a month, that would have been an incredible place to stay. It was
no doubt,
2 bedrooms, huge open living room. It was literally right, like our favorite restaurant that we actually went to twice was literally right down the hill.
A quarter mile away, yeah.
There was a fruit and vegetable stand.
Yeah.
There.
Awesome grocery store, too. Not too far away. Really well-stocked grocery store. You probably made a couple breakfasts.
I made
2 or 3
breakfast.
lunches.
Yeah. We ate dinner out
nice
just
sandwiches,
because there were so many places to eat.
Yeah, the food was... I'm very glad we went to Switzerland, Austria, then Italy, because the food just got progressed. No offense to those other countries.
Yeah.
If you've had Italian food, you know the food just got better. And it's nice to end on the Italian food. So,
I know John's answer to this, but what was your favorite meal?
the truffle pasta.
We got it twice.
It was tagliatelle. Yeah.
Homemade.
Freshly shaped truffle on it.
Like, they literally said the truffles are delivered like in baskets. Like they're used in such a fresh state that like they don't even have to put them in any sort of like a jar.
It was truffle season, I think.
Yeah.
Well, they're
summer truffles.
So yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I mean, the dish we both think is the best. We went there twice. I think it was 12 euros for that bowl of pasta.
It would have been 5 times that here.
I mean, I can still taste it. That's such a great kind of potent taste. Just thinking about it
makes my mouth water.
You can remember the taste. You really can. Like, it's
when 2 things, I know you even mentioned this. For someone, we both love food, but the way Italians serve, and especially they serve pasta, sorry to the United States, it's not a massive quantity.
It's the perfect portion.
It's the perfect portion. You follow with protein separately. But the one thing that I love going back to, because anywhere that you eat in the United States, unless it is a true, authentic Italian restaurant, is the ratio of pasta to sauce is wrong. Do you remember how light it was?
Yeah.
It wasn't drowning.
Yeah.
And that is the real way of, enjoying pasta. It was that pasta, though, the shaved truffles, it was the perfect light cream sauce.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that. I made pasta the other night, and I was trying to be careful about how much olive oil I put on it. And I didn't think I put that much. And I put a good bit more than what you just referenced. Like, it is crazy. A little goes a long way.
Did you see the puddle in the bottom of your bowl when you finished eating?
Well, I drank it. So
well, right. But it's a little bit goes such a long way.
Yeah. When you have good pasta.
Yeah.
Good ingredients, whether it's truffle, olive oil, whatever, you just need a tiny bit, and it's on point.
Yep. The food was incredible. The gelato, we had our one little spot. We went to maybe, 4 or 5 different places. We've had our one spot
was killer, though.
that was top notch. What was your favorite
Gelato.
flavor? Do you remember there? Because I think
they did a raspberry cheesecake one.
Yeah.
That was my most frequent. And then also lemon was really good. I mean, it's gelato. It's all good.
But it's funny, though, I've noticed a trend. You gravitate towards the fruity. I gravitate towards coffee, chocolate.
Oh, pistachio.
Pistachio. That was my favorite. Hands down, anywhere we went, that was the best. But the best one, we'll talk about it in the next episode. That was the best gelato we had the entire trip.
Yeah.
But I think it was the way it was served. I think that made a difference. But yeah, the food was fantastic. We went, and one of the things that stuck out to me that I think should be noted was the guy in the bike shop. Remember when we said something about touristy? Is that a touristy place? And he goes, oh yeah. Well, contrary to what a lot of people think, locals eat at what y'all think is touristy are still some of the best restaurants. Don't be swayed by the fact that if it's on the water doesn't mean you need to avoid it when you're on a lake. But he was like, we eat at quote unquote touristy restaurants.
Yeah.
So
everywhere we ate there was
very
really good.
Yeah.
Really good meals everywhere. And Garda was a big enough town where we didn't even hit the tip of the iceberg of restaurants. Like it was.
I feel like we need to go back.
Flush with restaurants.
Yeah.
Again, great grocery store, nice fresh fruit markets, awesome bike rental, very helpful people. Overall, an awesome spot.
Yeah, but we have to talk about our swimming spot.
Oh yeah,
the beach.
Now we didn't even talk about the lake.
Yeah, I know. Well, the one thing, hands down, that both of us looked at each other before the next trip: buy water shoes.
Yeah, it's rocky beach.
It's not. Yeah, and you don't want to wear nice sandals because the thing is like you want to be able to walk right up to the water.
And bring your goggles.
And bring your goggles. I know that was our fault, but we heard this, like literally it was like a beach club on the weekend because we got there on a Friday. It was on Saturday when we were walking around, I think. But it was literally right on the water. I think it was mostly locals. I saw a few people that I would assume were tourists, but
well, I think the nature of the weekend, it's probably mostly Italians, but some are there for the weekend. They don't live in the vicinity.
Yeah, but it was so cool because especially when the weekend was over, that was kind of just. There were very few people. One day it was just the two of us, and there were these little jutting, like a little jut out of like rocks,
just kind of sticking out.
And we would just go dive off of it. The water felt amazing.
Really nice after a long bike ride.
Yeah,
like, so nice to just get on there, dive in, and
daily dives,
swim around. Yeah, drink a bottle of wine, hang out. Yeah.
Oh, that was another thing. So it's so funny. You go to wineries here. In the United States, you go to Napa, stuff like that. Like, we went to the winery. You think they're going to price gouge you. Even a small batch vineyard, the most expensive bottle was €12.50, maybe?
I think so, yeah.
I think that it was either 12.50 or 13, and that was their, like, reserve. And if you know anything about wine, like, you can't find very many crappy wines for that price here.
I think their most inexpensive bottle was €6.
Yeah. But I will say, and I will tag them in the blog and the podcast notes, but I just want to give them a shout. The very first vineyard that we went to, it is owned by two sisters and their mom, and the three of them alone run the vineyard. It's small batch. They have a very small production, which I think they said, what did she say? It was like 5,000 bottles a year. Something. I mean, to me, that's not small, but they handpick, guys. Like it's.
And they just sell locally.
And they just sell locally, but like she showed us, gave us the full tour. Their where they age the wine is like their grandfather who started it.
Yeah, it's really like
it was just vintage.
Old school, like exactly what you would picture when you think old winery. Like had the cave, whatever they call that.
Yeah, but they
the aging cave.
But they do everything so well. And she was talking to me about the lack of like what they don't put in the soil and how they grow things. It's the way things should be. But I want to give them our support because I wish we could have bought like 6 cases and shipped them home to us, but they don't do that. Yeah. I was trying to ask her if there was somewhere we could take the wine to ship, and she looked at me like I was crazy. So, next time we'll just have to buy it at the beginning and drink it during our stay. Yeah. But that was a really cool experience, just to get kind of that one-on-one tour from her. Mm-hmm. But I mean, there were countless vineyards. We could have spent 3 months probably going to a vineyard.
Yeah, this would be east side of Garda. Mm-hmm. What is the name of that region? Oh. It's the next town over. Starts with a B.
Bartolino,
yeah. It
was the Bartolino
type
wines.
Of grape, I guess, mm-hmm. Yeah. So there was quite a few wineries in that area. Mm-hmm. I think people do winery tours, I guess you're saying. Yeah.
This is so random, but I think we should bring it up because it kind of shocked the two of us. Do you remember when we passed the amusement park?
Yeah.
It was like their version of Disney World. Yeah. It was interesting. I just wasn't expecting to see that. That was a random little... We avoided that town when we biked through because that got a little crazy. But there were some other towns that I wish we could have spent some time in. But again...
Yeah, I mean, you could go to the Italian Lakes. You could go for a year and not see it all. It's crazy. This is how much there was to do in our town. We were there for 6 nights. We didn't get on the ferry once. We didn't go to...
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that.
And when we stayed on Como, we'd do that quite a bit. But I mean, we were biking a lot, so that takes up quite a bit of the day. But yeah, I mean, there's so much nice things to do right in town that you didn't need to.
Is there anything you wish we could have done that we didn't do? Other than bike more and be there longer?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe done a little deeper dive on the vineyard tour, like done a little more. We went to 2 places and really only spent time at one, so maybe have planned that a little better. But other than that, I mean, it was epic.
Well, one thing about us is just the way we utilize our time on vacation is, in order to do the proper wine tastings, like they're time consuming. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like we chose to do minimal of that and buy the local wine at the grocery store because they sell it there and enjoy it while we're swimming or something like that. But I do wish I could have cooked a little bit more, but that just would have only been with spending more time there because it's so hard because there's just so many good things to eat.
Yeah. Flush with restaurants. Yeah. Great scenery. It was awesome. Highly recommend. It was
awesome. Yeah. Cool. Is there anything else you want to mention?
I don't think so.
No. It was good. You should go.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we experienced it at a different time than Como, but I have been told that Garda is a little less busy. All right. Is there anything else you want to mention?
I don't think so. No. Lovely time. Great place.
Definitely visit.
Yeah.
So that wraps up Lake Garda. We will be back to talk all things Lake Iseo in the next episode.
See you then.
Thanks, guys.